You studied cleft sentences in this unit. For example, instead of saying, he parks his car inconsiderately, we can say, what he does is park his car inconsiderately. Let's take another look. Leah has been having a dispute with a neighbour over parking at their block of flats. She complains about it to her friend Jack. Listen.
What he does is park his car slightly over the line. That means I usually can't get my car into my space. But if I complain, he just gets all defensive and denies it.
This has been going on for quite a while, right? One thing you could do is park on his side of the line. See how he likes it.
I suppose. All I want is for him to take more care where he parks. It's hardly asking a lot. But thanks, I'll consider your idea.
We use cleft sentences to emphasize, correct, or point out information. Leah says, what he does is park his car slightly over the line. She begins the sentence with what he does is to emphasize how her neighbour parks his car. Jack says, one thing you could do is park on his side of the line. He begins the sentence with, one thing you could do is, to point out some action that Leah could take. Leah says, all I want is for him to take more care where he parks. She begins the sentence with, all I want is, to emphasize that she is not really asking very much of her neighbour. Look at a table with different kinds of cleft sentence. To make cleft sentences, we begin with a focusing phrase ending in B. If an ordinary sentence is, she suggested something that was out of the question, the cleft sentence is, what she suggested was out of the question. We can emphasize an action or activity using what plus happen in a cleft sentence. We can also emphasize actions using the verb do in a cleft sentence. We can begin cleft sentences with phrases like the first thing, the main thing, or one thing. We can also use the word all to emphasize the idea of the only thing. Look at a table with more kinds of cleft sentence. We can use phrases like the place where, the time when, or the reason why to emphasize a place, time, or reason. We can say the same thing informally starting with where, when, or why. In addition to WH cleft sentences, there are it cleft sentences. They begin with it plus be. If an ordinary sentence is, my father got me interested in politics, the cleft sentence is, it was my father that got me interested in politics. We can also focus on the time something happens by beginning a sentence with "it was not until" or "it's only when." These phrases are followed by a that clause. When you are ready, go to the activity. Is the grammar correct? Choose yes or no. Look at the sentences again. We say, "It's the pollen that is causing most of his allergies," and "what happens is that the hot water suddenly goes off." That's it. You've completed the language check. Remember, you can use it as often as you want to revise cleft sentences.